Greetings YouTube, Eddie here. I am here with my follow-up to my pre-review of James Wan's Malignant, which is his new supernatural slasher film. Basically, if you don't know what Malignant is about, I'm almost hesitant to tell you what the plot is, because the trailer will tell you another story and then when you watch it, it's completely different from what you thought it was. But I'll say that we follow a woman named Madison in Seattle who's been witnessing gruesome murders as they happen. And she has no idea why. So I didn't even know that James Wan has had another film coming out. The only film that I was aware of was he was producing The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, and then he also has Aquaman. Those are the only films that I knew were coming out that were being done by him. I didn't know that Malignant was a thing until I was watching a YouTube video and an ad popped up, and it was a really cool trailer. It started off with you know, Madison on the floor like this, and the world is sort of just crumbling around her. And I'm like, hold up. And then later in the trailer it said, from director James Wan. And I'm like, oh, hold up. Everything gotta stop. I gotta watch this trailer. And so I was waiting forever for this movie. It felt like I was waiting for a long time. And I forgot that it was coming out today. And I watched it today around noon-ish. And I gave it an 8 out of 10. It was one of the best experiences I've had. And this is not a horror film at all. This is more of a suspenseful thriller, supernatural. And it definitely had some things going for it that made it its own thing. And I have some things that I absolutely love, and just two things that I didn't really like. Let me just start off by saying that you will have a ball watching this. Don't go into it expecting you'll have a plot in mind after you watch the trailer. It's not at all what the trailer has in store. It's definitely one of the more unique supernatural, it's one of the more unique horror films. It's definitely worth watching. It's one of the, it was one of the more interesting films that I've seen this year. Do I think it's James Wan's best film? I think it's one of his better ones. I think it's one of his stronger films. My favorite film from him is the Aquaman film. I think the Aquaman was a great film. And there are some elements from Aquaman that made its way into Malignant. Definitely has the feel of like Conjuring and Insidious. It definitely had that element, and it really was well done. So I highly recommend it. If you guys watched it, let's talk about it down below if any of you guys want to comment. And if you guys didn't like it, I'm sorry you didn't like it. Don't think you'll like this video because I'll be praising some things. But I do think it's one of the best films I've watched this year. Favorite film right now of 2021 is still Zack Snyder's Justice League. That is by far the best film of 2021, for me at least. Anyways, let's get right into the spoilers. Spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the things that I liked. I think the creativity of the storyline was really interesting. I really loved all the visuals of like Madison watching the murders happen and the world around her just sort of dissipates into the crime scene. I think that's one of the cooler things I've seen. I also think that the story was really, I think it was executed well. I think some of the script could be worked on a little bit more, because I just thought the lines were just sort of like, yeah, you know. But I'll give it this, and this is also supporting the story and the creativity. It had an 80s vibe. The soundtrack, the poster, the camera work, it definitely had an 80s vibe, and it was so fun to watch. It definitely, if you are a fan of Stranger Things, I think you'll like this film. In terms of, you know, the theme and the vibe and that kind of stuff. The vibe was really, it was just so familiar to me, because it just reminded me of like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, that kind of stuff. It was really well done. I think the violence part of it was handled and showcased well. It's definitely bloody. It's not for the faint of heart, as like when Gabriel is literally butchering everybody, you know, the victims, the police officers. He goes to town on the murders. It's pretty awful. And the suspense of it all. I was guessing every second. I did see a twist coming though, but I'll talk about that in a minute. I think the suspense of it was really captivating to me. I loved just like guessing every second of the way, being like, okay, so who's Gabriel? Why does Gabriel only come to Madison? And why, you know, that kind of stuff. And everybody's freaking Sherlock Holmes up in this movie. I mean, there are some police officers, but her sister was like the smartest cookie in the cookie jar for a blonde girl. That's really rare. Before I get to the twists that I guess from the get-go, Annabelle Wallis's performance as Madison was just so well done. I think she did a really great job. I didn't even recognize that was Annabelle Wallis, to be honest with you. I thought it was Maggie from Walking Dead, but it was Annabelle Wallis. And she portrayed the terrified look of... She had a terrified look. I actually was convinced that she was being haunted. I think she did a really great job. So the twist... I think the twist of... So one of the twists that I did guess from the get-go was Madison's real mom. I knew... I had an inkling that was like... I was thinking when he has her in his lair, I guess... I knew from the get-go that was the real mom, because Madison is adopted. The adoption place said that she had died in childbirth, when it's revealed that she's alive and is giving ghost tours for the Seattle Underground. It was actually really terrifying to see Gabriel confront her, you know, in the tour and also in the hospital room. And I wasn't really surprised with that twist, because I saw that as soon as they transitioned from the mom in the past, like in the video archive, whatever, and then transitions to her real mom, to present day in the hospital room. I'm like, okay, that I kind of knew that. Then the twist that I did not see coming, Gabriel being part of Madison, I was just so disturbed by it. It was terrifying, because it's revealed that Madison did have a form of what it's called, teratoma. I have mixed feelings about the teratoma. And the camera, okay, I'm still getting chills, I gotta calm down. When the camera turned around, ooh, I'm like shaking, I don't know why. The camera turned around, and then there's Gabriel just like, okay, you know, I gotta move on, because I can't talk about that, because that just terrified me. But I think the imaginary friend aspect was actually really creative. I think, and then to cure, you know, to get rid of Gabriel, because he was taking a toll on Madison, they removed Gabriel by cutting out the cancer, as the doctor said, and then pushing the brain or the whatever it was back into Madison. So it was just Madison and no longer Madison Gabriel. Who's Madison's real name? I forgot what it was. I think it's Emily. I believe that's her real name. Madison gets pregnant, but she always has a miscarriage. That's explained at the beginning of the film. And at the beginning of the film, she is pregnant. And she doesn't know why she's miscarrying. It's revealed that Gabriel's been eating the fetuses to rebuild himself inside of her, which I thought was, 1, disgusting, and 2, horrifying, and 3, okay. And then there was a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of hints dropping along the way, like when Derek pushed Madison's head, the back of the head hitting the wall, and that wakes up Gabriel. And then they lingered on that for the longest time, and she's touching her head and there's blood on her fingers. So I'm like, why are they still talking about this? And then it's like, oh, okay. Now we know why. I just thought that the whole Gabriel storyline was A, really heartbreaking, 2, disturbing, and 3, uber heartbreaking still. Alright, so the dislikes that I had, they're not really like much. The one is like some of the acting performances from the supporting cast. And the acting from some of them weren't actually really impressive to me, like her sister. I think the cop, Detective Shaw, I think he did fine, and he's not actually too bad to look at. His partner, and I didn't really like her that much. Yeah, I think the acting from the supporting cast was just sort of like whatever, you know. And I also have a problem with the marketing. And this is nothing against James Wan or the film as a whole. I don't know if this was intentional, that they were going to make this a horror, like a typical horror film. Because this is definitely not a horror film. It's more so of a... It is a supernatural slasher film, which could be considered horror. And it really wasn't all that scary to me. And people are criticizing it, being like, there was not enough jump scares. I'm like, I don't think there could have been jump scares in this film that would have worked, in my opinion. Thing that I'm kind of questionable about, but I cannot speak on it because I'm no expert. I'm no medical expert. I feel like some people are going to have a strong reaction to the teratoma treatment. So, if you guys don't know what teratoma is, let me look it up real quick for you guys. It says here, okay, a teratoma is a tumor made of several types of tissue such as hair, muscle, teeth, or bone. Teratoma typically form in the ovary or the testicle. It has a rare case of teratoma, which is why Gabriel appears attached to her back. And I always feel like they always take like medical conditions and turn them into something terrifying and scary. I feel like most people are going to have a strong reaction to how the teratoma was used in this film. And I can't speak on that personally because I never experienced teratoma. I don't know, people in my personal life that did have teratoma. This is a fictionalized version of it, and I think that it made it terrifying, and it even said in the film it is an extremely rare form of teratoma. When that camera turned around and showed Gabriel attached to Madison, like I said, I was literally shaken to the core. It was so hard to watch. I literally clasped my hands over my mouth like this. I literally had tears in my eyes because it was sad. It was really sad, and it was just terrifying to watch. Anyways, that's going to be it from me from today. If you guys enjoyed Malignant, let me know down below what you thought of it. And if you have watched it, what did you think of the plot twist? And what is your favorite James Wan film? Right now, my favorite film is still Aquaman, followed by The Conjuring, maybe followed by this. So anyways, if you guys like this video, thumbs up, comment your thoughts. For more content, the subscribe button, that's hard to say. For more content, the subscribe button is right over here, and right next to it is the notification bell. Go ahead and click that. I'll link 2 other videos right beside my head to check those out. And Malignant is out right now. It's on HBO Max for about a month. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see everyone soon in my next video. Deuces.